All right, so today we are starting chapter 1. Yes, we're going out of order, but we are going to go back to chapter 1 today, and it is on statistics. And statistics is the science that deals with the collection, classification, analysis, and interpretation of data. So that's what we're going to start studying this week. And we do have a bit of notes today. So I apologize for that, but just get your notebook out and copy these down. So here's our first two words. Population is an entire group. So for example, all the students in a school. And then sampling is a small representative part of that group. So for example, you could sample every 5th student that came in the doors of the school that day. And that would be a sampling of all the students in the school. All right, there's 4 types of sampling methods that we're going to talk about. So you're going to want to draw this chart in your book and write these 4 different methods down. So the first one is called random sampling, and it just means exactly what it sounds like. It's extremely random. You have no plan of how you're picking your people, your sampling group. You're just randomly selecting people, and you're going to ask them a question or interview them or something. So each person has an equal chance, and an example is drawing 50 names from a box. Okay, so the next one is cluster sampling, and this is where a randomly selected part of the population is interviewed. So out of the entire school, they might only ask the seniors, and out of all the seniors, they're going to randomly pick seniors to ask their questions to. Another example is in our example column that certain classrooms in a school are selected, like maybe all the history classes are selected. But then out of all the history classes, they only interview the first period students. Convenience sampling means that they're asking people to be part of the survey because the people are convenient to them. They're there. They're in front of them. So members of a population are surveyed because they are available. An example would be all the students in a bookstore. You know, you want to ask the school something, but you didn't plan well, so you just go to the bookstore and ask everybody there your question. The last one is systematic sampling, which means you are selecting people according to a pattern that you've established beforehand. So you want to pick every 3rd person in a line or every 8th person that's in line for the cafeteria. So number 1 says ask every 5th person in line, and we're trying to figure out which type of sampling, which sampling method that is. Right, so number 1 is systematic. It was a pattern, every 5th person. Number 2, ask all customers seated at the table closest to the cashier between 11:30 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. Convenient, yes, good. So that's convenience because we're choosing the people that are just right there by the, what was it? I forgot. By the cashier. That's what it is. Okay. So number 3 says, ask all customers served during one day by a waiter, by a specific waiter, chosen at random.
Random.
So, but you're only choosing people that this one waiter serves. Cluster. Good. Good job, James.
Man, I got 2, you got 1.
I just dropped my book. Okay, I'm good. Randomly select numbers beforehand.
Random.
And then ask the customers with those numbers on their receipts. So that is random.
Systematic.
It's random.
Oh, I think it says not random.
It is random. Okay, next it says to identify the time most parents set as a curfew for their teenagers on Friday night. I didn't ask a question yet. All teenagers attending the 9 p.m. show at one movie theater are surveyed.
No, it's cluster.
So,
it's convenient.
What method of sampling does this represent? Yes, it is convenience.
Wow.
Christian is on a roll.
How many questions?
Because they only selected the 9 p.m. movie. They don't want to stand at the theater all night. They just came to that 9 o'clock movie, and everybody going into that 9 o'clock movie is the ones they're asking, so that's convenient. Are the results of this survey likely to be biased? Now, we didn't talk about bias yet. So bias is when something about your question or the people that you're asking your question to makes the answer invalid, okay, or skews the answer to one side. So we said, yes, this question would be biased if we only ask people at the 9 o'clock movie, because everybody at the 9 o'clock movie has at least an 11:30 curfew, because they're going to be at the movie till 11, then they got to go home. So if somebody had a 10 o'clock curfew, you would not find them at this 9 o'clock movie. So that biases our survey. Number 7, explain how the survey can be altered so that it represents systematic sampling. Okay, so a better way to make this a systematic sampling is to ask at random times. Okay, so you're going to set up a time frame or a pattern that you're going to ask these people questions. So maybe you would ask so many people at the 6 o'clock show, so many people at the 8 o'clock show. That way you have an unbiased sample. Number 8, explain how the survey can be altered so that it represents cluster sampling. So for number 8, how could we make it a cluster? We could interview people only at a certain type of movie. So we could interview only people at action movies. That would make it a cluster. I could interview people at my school. That would make it a cluster. All right, so you're just taking a representative group of the population of all teenagers in the world, and you're asking them. Okay, so the last one we said we could ask only teens at action movies, or asking only the teens at your school, and that would be a cluster, a representative part of your population. And that is all for today. Let me know if you have any questions. We'll do more on this week, and it'll make more sense the more we practice.